Hi everyone. I am going to walk you through the Showcase of Inquiry presentation. I am using the Smart Recording tool. I'm just going to show you this here. Because I have Smart Notebook 11 downloaded onto my laptop, I'm able to use one of the tools to record my screen on my laptop here. And it's the Smart Recording tool. So I am going to tuck it out of the way. I think sometimes it pops up from time to time. I just wanted to make you familiar with that tool. All right, so I've got the showcase ready with the criteria and the expectations and so forth. And I want to walk you through it and give you some ideas on where you might go with this. So the purpose of the showcase, which is our last class together with the EdCur 411, the showcase is really a chance for you to basically bring together all the knowledge and skills that you've learned through this course and really highlight them and showcase them. And you do that by reflecting on the entire course. So for you, what I'm hoping is that through this process of getting ready for the showcase, that you'll have a chance to go back and pull out some of the big ideas and understandings that have really threaded their way throughout our entire course. Two of them that we keep going back to certainly are the impact on student engagement and the role of the teacher when you're a 21st century teacher and when you're setting up a 21st century classroom. So it's a reflective time. It's that metacognition of going back through the notes, through the PowerPoint presentations, and just saying, okay, what are some of these big ideas? That keep coming up, and what are these big questions that I've had answered now? There's a new understanding that I have. So that's the big idea around why we do a showcase. For this class, we have a second purpose, and perhaps for you, an even more meaningful purpose is to actually create what we call a learning artifact. So not only are you going to, of course, go through the coursework and your notes and reflect on it, but then you're going to produce something that shows that learning to someone else, and we call that a learning artifact. And the idea is that you're going to create something hopefully meaningful to you, because I'd like it to be something that you could add to your own professional portfolio. So if you're taking all of the knowledge, skills that you've learned during this class, and you're going to synthesize them into something that you could share in an interview, that is really the ultimate goal here. So I did pull a definition off of Wikipedia, and not because I'm particularly enamored of Wikipedia, but I really like the way it described or defined learning artifact, because sometimes people have a hard time getting their head around the word artifact. But it's an object that is created by students during the course of instruction. To be considered an artifact, it has to be lasting, durable, public, and present. So you're going to create an artifact that is an electronic artifact. So it's got to be using in some form an electronic tool, and that being public means that it's something that you would be able to share, tweet about, come back and change if you wanted, but it's something that would be globally available. So if we go into what this might look like to share all of this in the last class, what we're going to do is kind of use that science fair style approach where everybody sets up in different places with their electronic portfolio, and we have a chance to mix and mingle and walk around and see how others have synthesized their learning, as well as sharing your own learning journey. So of course there's lots of ways. I mean, if we leave it wide open to just being an electronic artifact, the sky's the limit, which is sometimes a little bit scary too when you think about, oh man, what tool should I use? What tool could I use? So I'm going to just give you some ideas. And again, I've got a note here, don't feel constrained by them. You're going to need to pick something fairly quickly though. Danae was telling me that the University of Saskatchewan has that e-portfolio option that you do have access to when you are alumni as well. So that might be something, if you've already started to build this artifact within that e-portfolio platform. If you've started a blog, you can certainly continue and use the blogging platform to host your artifact. You can build a website. I showed you Wiki Spaces, Weebly, Wix, a couple other options for you. You might consider using Evernote. Now, I had a teacher do one of her teacher supervision meetings with me using Evernote, and she basically organized all of her samples and her artifacts within the Evernote platform, which I found was quite amazing. I hadn't seen it used that way before. You might want to try LiveBinder. Google Docs, Google Drive is also another option for you, Prezi. So really, there's lots of different ways. It's going to lots of different ways for you to show what you know. It'll be just up to you to find a tool that makes the most sense. But let's keep in mind here, the goal here is not only to share your learning, but is to produce something that you can highlight during an interview, so that when you're going in and meeting with the team, you can say, hey, I took this inquiry class, so I've got these 21st century skills. I'm developing them. So what is this going to look like? What am I looking for? Well, quality means that you were able to provide evidence of the learning goals. Now, what I've done is, I'm just going to scan down here to the next page, or scroll down, or not. Oh, it didn't save. Hang on. I'm going to scroll down to my original copy here. By the completion of the course. So I've narrowed it down to 6 specific learning goals that you're going to want to make sure that you provide evidence of. Okay, so there was a list longer than that, 11 or 12, and I've just narrowed it down to the 6 here. So providing clear evidence of learning goals. You have, during your presentation, through your artifact, clearly and concisely summarized or synthesized the big ideas and understandings that you gained during the course. And what's so interesting about this, and so fabulous really, is that it's what sense you made out of the course. So somebody else might have not had the same ideas that resonated because of your own personal experiences, both as a learner, as an intern teacher. The things that resonate with you are going to be different than another classmate. So this is what's really fabulous for me to say, wow, this is what that you connected with, and these are the ideas. So how are you able to take all of those big ideas and synthesize them and put them into something manageable to share with somebody? It's a bit of a task, but that is your task here. And of course, it's important for you to make those relevant, authentic connections to your own meaning and to the topics that we discussed. So in terms of the topics, again, I've just helped you out here by going into our course syllabus and made a list here of all the topics that we've covered so that you have a chance to connect to the ones that make sense for you. Somewhere in here, please talk about research and what you learned from your study of some of the research articles that you've read. And this again is the interesting part for me, is that I'd like you to go back into the things that you've done in the coursework. So during the Explore, the Just One Thing, your Exits What Time, or your EdCamp, and pull links, pull samples, pull exemplars to illustrate your learning. So you could use links, screenshots, videos, references, whatever makes sense to you. But those are the real meat and potatoes, I guess, for someone to say, oh man, I learned about this topic and I made these connections, and here's what I did with it. Here's what I created in class that pulled all of those ideas together. So include some samples. And just in terms of organizational, I guess, mark, if you will, I'm just looking to make sure that your artifact is well organized and easy to navigate. I was mentioning that when I was doing teacher supervision, different teachers were using different tools, and some of them were a lot easier to navigate than others. Some of them just made sense and flowed. Others were a little bit more challenging for someone like myself to go in and find information. So looking for you, for quality, you want it to be easily navigating, let's start that again, easy to navigate and well organized. All right, now during the presentation that evening, we want to make sure that you are able to engage others in your topic when you're talking to them. So when they come by, when I come by, when other people come by, you are able to pull them in and engage them in your learning through discussion. And people aren't going to be able to take the time to read every part of your artifact and go through everything. So you need to present it. You're going to need to be able to very clearly and concisely share with people stopping by what those big ideas are. What did you learn from this course? And obviously that you're well prepared for questions. If they're not from other people or peers in your class or SunWest people that come, that you're prepared for my questions. And overall, the big holistic ideas that you were able to make meaning of your learning experience in 411. Okay, so I pulled those learning outcomes there, and I just put a little planning template together for you at the bottom here too, where this is how I would organize myself. So I thought, well, I'm going to include it and take it for what you will. So what I've done, I'm just going to zoom out here, is I've just taken all those learning goals that you're going to be assessed on, making the connections with. Just a place here, provided a place for you to start making some jot notes about the ideas and the connections that you made, the relevancy that you found, and then what samples you would include in that. So as evidence that you'd reached this learning goal. So that's kind of the overview of the assignment itself. And I find it really interesting that I saved it as a PDF. It told me I was having issues and you got 2 pages out of 4. But anyways, I will reload that up. My laptop is really, really old and it keeps dying. So I think it's time maybe to get a new one. The last thing I want to show you here is a few of the tools and the way that I've used them in the past. So I have been exploring e-portfolios and artifacts for quite some time, and I've been playing around with different tools trying to figure out one that makes sense for me. And to be honest, I just keep trying all of new tools. I haven't found one that I love yet, but here's a live binder that I had created. So I didn't want to take you to the first page, but I wanted to just tell you that it's a reflection piece, so there's a little bit of a summary here. And then I've actually provided the samples or the artifacts. So I've got the connections. I've made some text here to make those connections. And then I've gone in and actually posted some things. So here's a sample. And this one is just a link. I didn't put a picture in yet, but this would take you to samples of work, conferences and so forth that I've done. So this is my, if I go back to this, samples. So if my learning goal was around technology and showing how I've been able to purposefully use technology and ways that I've presented on technology, this would be my samples of my artifacts and so forth. Now with this, I haven't used this for quite some time. There's also a place that you can put kind of a cover page and so forth. So you might want to consider using this as a tool for your artifact. I want to also take you to my blog because I actually blogged in my showcase. I didn't use the live binder, I used a blog instead. And for each one of my posts, what I did was I went through each course and reflected on it. Now this is going to be old. Hang on a sec. This is from my master's, so it's back. Oh, this is my last one. So for each course that I took, I created a blog post and some evidence of my learning and shared that way. So that might be an option for you as well. And of course, you can always link to, if you've made another Prezi for something else, or you made a wild, build your wild self, or you made a photo babble or whatever. That's an easy way to connect as well. And there's pictures. So that's my blog. That might be a way that you want to do that. Certainly you could use a wiki. I'm going to actually show you the wiki that I built this weekend for the Distance Learning Center. So here you can set up a table of contents that could be connected to each of your learning goals. And then you can connect your samples digitally just through links here. So that might be an option for you as well. I was actually pretty excited. I created some buttons that are linked and created, well, I'm not as excited about this because I couldn't get the widget HTML code to work, so it's an animated GIF instead, but anyways, created that to make it a little bit more interactive. But basically, each of these pages are now linked, and again, you could use this for your own artifact and build on it, because basically you're just creating a quick web page here. So that might be an option for you as well. I don't know a whole lot about using Evernote to build the student portfolio. I did just start Googling it and the page wouldn't load, but I think again it's my computer. So that is the big idea around the showcase. And so you're going to create something that brings together all of your knowledge and understanding, connect it to the learning goals, make personal connections, bring in some samples, and really have an opportunity here to put something together that's going to showcase this to a potential employer for you. So good luck. I'm going to be open for questions tomorrow after class. We'll set aside some time, so if you do have questions beyond this, feel free to ask. All right, good luck, and I'm really, really looking forward to these.